All right, so we're working on shading basic forms, and we're doing this in art too with colored pencils. And I have some advice for you as you're getting started on this. So, one piece of advice as you're getting started is you probably want to draw the cube and the cone in these boxes here before you start touching them with the color pencils and shading them in and coloring them in. And that's a great idea. It's great to draw everything before we actually add color to it. But in the art world, oh, it's like a no-no when you have something drawn in and then you go to like color over it and you still see your nasty pencil line hanging out there. We don't want to see that, okay? This is a colored pencil drawing, not a pencil drawing. So first tip for starting this is to, if you want to draw this in, that's totally fine. Draw very, very lightly. That way we don't see evidence of the nasty pencil lines, okay? And you can do that just by holding the pencil lightly. And then also think about what pencil you use. So I recommend a 2H pencil for this because the lead is so light that it'll probably just like disappear into the color as you're going. So it's my recommendation to you. And it's going to do this quickly. Okay. Now, as you're going, you could do these in whatever color you want. For example, if I want to maybe just do this cube in red, that's fine. Okay. And you have to work very slowly. Remember, light to dark, light pressure first, and work in layers. And, I'll start coloring this in, and I'm paying attention to the values here. And this first side, it's not too dark. It's kind of like the medium. It's like light, medium, dark. All right. And what I want to do as I'm putting my hands on this cube and actually coloring it in is I want to think about this form. And the form of the cube, it's made up of flat sides. Okay. So as I'm coloring it in, I want to keep my strokes nice and flat, okay? It's really good to try and keep them in the same direction as much as you can, but my hand tends to wander a little bit, and I kind of create a little bit of cross-hatching, which is fine. And if you look closely here, you'll also see a little bit of cross-hatching, which is fine. What's good is that all those cross-hatching lines are flat lines, and that helps emphasize that this form is made up of flat sides, okay? When you're going to do the cone, this cone is a round object. So as I'm moving my hand, when I work on this cone, I want to make sure I have kind of more round strokes. That way I preserve the form, the round form of that cone. So hopefully that should make sense. Okay. And then my last bit of advice to you is, you're matching the shading that you're seeing, but you're doing it with color. And again, this is like really light, this is kind of medium, and then it gets pretty dark in here. Okay. And if you've had me as a teacher before, I don't always want you to go for the black colored pencils to darken something because black really, really blocks out color very, very quickly. So what I prefer you to do is use a complementary color. So if I'm making a red cube and I need to darken it, well, I can do that by just working in layers. And when I need the red to be darkened, I can sneak in a little bit of green, as much as or as little as I need, and layer it up, and it helps darken the red very naturally. If I want it to be even darker than that, I can go back and add more. Okay, so that's my last tip to use. Don't always reach for the black to darken something. Use your layering of color. You can make pretty dark red just by going over it and over and over it. But for really, really dark values, you can also use complementary colors. So that's it. So remember, draw it lightly to begin with pencil. Draw very, very lightly. As you're coloring, pay attention to the form. What's flat, keep your strokes flat. What's round, keep your strokes rounder. And then whichever color you're using, use the complementary colors to help darken it. Sometimes you can use black, that's fine, but reach for the complementary colors first.